Nice.
That is the start of our beautiful city of Coronado and the end of Naval Air Station North Island. Now, Coronado Island was undeveloped up until about 1885, although there were a few cattlemen that owned the island. They were using it for cattle grazing as well as prime hunting grounds for rabbits and birds. They wanted to buy Coronado and turn it into a resort community with a beautiful hotel resort there along the beach on the Pacific Ocean. So these two individuals, they jumped in a rowboat, they sailed over to Coronado and purchased the entire island.
That's good. Guess you got to get there somehow.
5 acres for the sum of $110,000. So in 1886, in order to bring people over to Coronado, they formed the first ever San Diego Coronado ferry. Now that ferry carried passengers, horse and buggies, and with it brought enough people to buy up that property and establish this first ever Coronado San Diego ferry and the community. Well, by selling off that property also gave them enough money to build what we know today as the Hotel Del Coronado. You happen to bring your golf clubs here to San Diego. You plan on playing one of our local courses? Well, one of the better recommended ones is right on the other side of that park. That is our world-renowned 18-hole Coronado golf course. Not only played by residents of San Diego and Coronado, but if you play there, you're playing in the footsteps of movie stars, TV stars, and some of our very own presidents. They were determined to get federal funding to assist in the construction of the bridge. Now, in order to receive federal funding, the bridge would have to be at least 2 miles long. Now, the government set that stipulation knowing that it was not 2 miles from the Coronado Bayfront to the San Diego Bayfront. So Coronado got extremely smart, and they flipped the tables on the government. And they designed that bridge with that large curve going in and coming out of Coronado. And by doing so, that made the bridge 2.1 miles long. So they did get the federal funding. But it's not all about the money, folks. The bridge also had to be high enough for our Navy ships to pass underneath. That is 200 feet of clearance from the highest watermark to the base of the bridge. Without that large curve, that bridge would have been straight up and straight down. Miserable climb, but one heck of a ride going up the other side. You want to put yourself in the foreground here on the right side, and that large curve in the background, and that is a shot you are only going to get from right here on the boat.
How cool.
section of the Silver Strand on the opposite side, which is right along the beach of the Pacific. Now the amphibious base home to 30 tank commands, 5,000 permanent duty military members, 7,000 students and reservists. It is also the training site for Marine Corps Expeditionary Forces Command, Special Warfare Combat Craft Crewmen, which is the SWIFT team, as well as our amphibious assault crews. Now further down the undeveloped area, we see that section where the palm trees have taken over. That is Fiddler's Cove Marina, which is a military recreation area for active duty, retired, reserve, National Guard, U.S. Coast Guard. Now they can rent gear. It's a RV park, campground, barbecue areas, playgrounds, picnic grounds, as well as military housing and a marina. On the back side of that area is the #1 beach in California, the Coronado State Beach. Further down the Silver Strand, the other developed area, that is our multi-million-dollar homes. That is our community of the Coronado Cays Resort, as well as the 5-star Hotel Lowe's Resort. Further down the Silver Strand, all the way to the very end, you see that large peninsula there in the distance. Well, that large hill, that large peninsula, that is Tijuana, Mexico. That is about a 20-minute drive from where you got on board the Spirit of San Diego. Now you can drive right down Interstate 5 about 20 minutes, right through the border. And although it does appear that we could actually take this boat right to Mexico, unfortunately we cannot. Due to the fact that when you get to the end of the bay, you're actually right there at the Salt Flats. You have to cross Imperial Beach as well as San Isidro. And unfortunately, we are not amphibious. But we are going to make a turn further up here on the bay where I'm going to tell you about each and every one of the ships. But to start off, I will tell you this area here on the left is what is known as Naval Base San Diego, 32nd Street. Now there's 3 sections of this base. There are 2 interior. And there's this section here along the water known as the wet side. Now this is made up of 13 piers in the 1920s as a destroyer base. And today, although we do still use destroyers, we also have guided missile cruisers, littoral combat ships, anti-mine countermeasure ships, minesweepers, as well as United States naval ships, U.S. Coast Guard cutters, and what we call the amphibious fleet. The amphibious fleet, that is different styles of ships, but they all have a unique feature. They all have what is called a stern gate and a well deck. Now what that means is on the back of the ship, it can open up like a clamshell right under the flight deck closest to the water. Opens up like a clamshell, they will semi-submerge the back end of the ship, flooding the interior called the well deck. When they do this, that allows for the Marines to bring landing craft air cushions, landing craft utilities, and other assault craft right across the water directly into the hull of the ship while they're at sea. They will raise it up, pump the water out, creating a dry working area to transport those Marines. Now one of these amphibious ships that I am talking about, folks, believe it or not, is #4, that large flat top there on the left. Now although that looks like an aircraft carrier, it is not. It is much smaller than an aircraft carrier. Its flight deck very different because it is strictly vertical takeoff of tilt rotor type aircraft that supports the Marines. Now as you look all the way up to the right side as we make our turn, there are 2 more amphibious assault ships, LHAs, LHDs. Now these 2 large flat tops, they are pretty much identical to #4 here, the USS Boxer. Now those 2 on the far side is the Macon Island, #8. But #6, that is also an amphibious assault ship, LHA, LHD, but guess what, folks? It is not amphibious. That is the first ever amphibious ship to not be amphibious. It does not have a well deck or a stern gate. Now the large ship with the ramp in the back, cranes on the front, is a transport carrier known as a roll-on, roll-off ship. That transports everything from tanks, artillery, heavy equipment, small boats, the Don't Tread on Me flag, also known as the Navy Jack. Now on the left side of this last dock, that long skinny ship, that was the USS Gary Navy frigate FFG. Up until just about a week ago, it was decommissioned as the last frigate in the entire Pacific Fleet. No more exists here on the Pacific. Now there is one remaining Navy frigate which is sitting in Norfolk, Virginia, which is also soon to be decommissioned. Now we are no longer using that style, the Oliver Harry, I can't even say it, Oliver Harry, I'll spit out here in a minute, the Oliver Hazard Harry class frigates. Now the large gray ship with the blue and gold stripes, that is what is known as a roll-on, roll-off ship. Actually, that is a mobile landing platform ship, the Lewis Puller. Named in honor of Chesty Puller, the famous three-star Marine Corps General War hero. Highest decorated Marine recipient of 5 Navy crosses. Sure did. Now, okay, let's go ahead with the ships so I remember the name. Number 70, Lake Champlain. That is a guided missile cruiser. Number 22, our very own namesake, the USS San Diego, amphibious transport dock ship. 52, the Pearl Harbor, 49, 6, 45. Yeah, I'll put my glasses on in a minute as well. 45 is the Comstock. Those are dock landing ships, LSDs. Okay, I got it. BA&E Shipyard, Continental Shipyard. There we go. Now, the reason these ships are wrapped with white plastic is because they are working with hazardous materials. They don't want that going into the bay and causing harm to our sea life. So they will secure that area, keeping all those contaminants there on board. Now, as we go onto the bridge, folks, what we're going to do is we're going to line up these columns that support the bridge. They all have a gap in the middle with an arch at the top. As we go underneath, line up that gap on the right side. Look at the arch at the top, all the way down into San Diego. And what you're going to see there in the distance is a very large California mission bell. But you're going to have to look fast and you're going to have to look real quick. So line up that gap, look at the arch at the top, and see if you can see, there it is, right there, the California mission bell. Now here's one of my personal favorites on the bay, folks. This very odd-looking ship here on the right is what is known as a SWAT, a shallow water area twin hull ship. Now this is called Sea Slice. It was built by Lockheed Martin in the late 1990s. $15.6 million. Built as a high-speed, shallow water, isometric design platform for the helicopter. Tested by the Navy for nearly 6 years. But the Navy decided that the concept would not work and returned it to its owner. Now it's been sitting here for a long time, folks, and guess what? It is now for sale.
Oh, it's so quiet.
You can actually own Sea Slice right now for $180,000. Now here on the right side, these blue and white ships, these are part of Scripps Institution of Oceanography. Or I should say the two smaller ones are. The larger one, the Melville, was decommissioned from their fleet last year after 42 years of service and over 2 million research miles. Now the Melville is headed off to become a research vessel for one of our universities and a training ship. But she is going to be replaced by a brand new research vessel called the Sally Ride. Named in honor of the female astronaut on the Challenger and local La Jolla, California resident. Now looking across the terminal area, we see that large shiny dome there in the distance. That large shiny dome there in the skyline of San Diego is the San Diego Central Library. Multi-million-dollar library, $196.7 million worth. Now also multi-story, 2 floors dedicated to a charter high school, a Ted Williams baseball book and display, a World War II Holocaust book and display, an archive book section, some of the oldest books in the world, as well as an art gallery. Now here at the lower end of the terminal, this is where we get our Dole imports. We get Dole, Honduras, Ecuador, Costa Rica, and California. And if you're ready for this, ladies and gentlemen, they are bringing with them over 186 million bananas, 97 million pineapples every single month. And yet, that is only arriving twice a week. Now they're on the shoreline, ladies and gentlemen. That brown brick building with the ironwork at the top. For all of our baseball fans, ladies and gentlemen, that is Petco Park, home of our San Diego Padres. Now they're in their 12th season there at Petco Park, folks, and there are those that believe, such as our deckhand Bobby, that is the future site of the World Series. Long horizontal building, San Diego Convention Center, largest convention space here in the area, 2.6 million square feet. Now looking through our San Diego skyline, we're going to take a unique look at some of the architecture of our buildings. And you're going to see why it is often referred to as a large toolbox. You look right over the convention center, you have that green high-rise with the silver top, which is considered a wood-lathe tool. You look off our bow to the two tan-colored high-rises, you have a flat-tip screwdriver and a chisel. You look out behind that, and you have a cross-tip Phillips head screwdriver. As we pass these two shiny buildings in the back, you're going to see a set of Allen wrenches. But, folks, what toolbox would not be complete if you didn't include two large black infamous Cricket Dick lighters? Now the large concert area here on the right, this is for the Summer Pops concerts held on the weekends. Woo! There you go, you got a fan down on the bow. Now these pop concerts are awesome, and some of them are followed up by a great fireworks display. Two half-round mirror buildings, Hotel Marriott Resort Marina. Each one of these boats is a guest of the hotel. They can call for room service and have it delivered right down to the boat. Now the six-towered building all the way out in the distance with the green tops. Each one of those buildings is a large hexagon at the top, and that is what you see in the evening, lit up with 6 large green neon hexagons. Now you also notice the top of the Emerald Plaza, every one of those towers is at an angle. That is actually a 32-degree angle. And the developer chose that because San Diego sits on the 32nd latitude. Now there on the right side, earlier I mentioned the first San Diego Coronado ferry landed right there at Seaport Village. Today it is gift shops, restaurants, a 100-year-old carousel that you can still ride today. Now off our bow is what is known as Tuna Harbor. Tuna Harbor, the home of our tuna fishing fleet from the early 1900s, late 1980s, early 1990s. It was then that tuna fishing became highly restricted. Those tuna boats sailed on to foreign waters where the restrictions weren't so tough. Today, this is home to our commercial fishing fleet, bringing fine fresh seafood to our restaurants on a daily basis. All right, ladies and gentlemen, I will ask at this time, who could use an extremely large martini right about now? I'm talking extremely large. Well, the reason I ask, folks, is if you look out to our San Diego skyline, you're going to see a high-rise next to that yellow crane with the American flag on top. Now, as we pass by, you're also going to notice that that is in the shape of a martini glass. So if you're ready for this, folks, if I can get my buddy on the phone, watch this. Hey, what's up, amigo? You working? All right, I got 179 people dying for a martini. You got time to do it? You sure? All right, appreciate it, brother. Have a good night, man. I know I owe you a 12-pack. You'll get it. Thanks, brother. All right, guys, he said he's got time to do it. So if you keep your eyes on that martini glass there under the American flag. So Tuna Park is the area here at the Fish Market Restaurant. Now there alongside the Fish Market Restaurant is the Bob Hope Memorial Statue. That is Bob Hope there in bronze, punching out one-liners for your enjoyment. In his audience, there are 15 service... Oh, look at that martini glass, guys. He is running extremely fast. he makes it all the way from the bottom to the top, but he does it.